when you're asking for a sale and someone is giving you money for something that they think is cool, that's a withdrawal from the goodwill vault. So in order to fill it back up and, balance the scales again, what you're looking to do is then deposit more value into that for free. Give to your fans, whether that be through communication or free content or some kind of extra access, whatever it might be. I mean, there's tons that you can do. Giveaways, really anything that falls kind of under the nurturing stage of the buddy system can be really cool here. And I think that that's a great way to think about your relationship with your fans as your customers, because it's just a good way to top off the goodwill balance and tee up whatever might come next.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast, brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. My name is Jack McCarthy. I'm your host. With me is my awesome co-host, Mr. Ed Isola of the 502s. Ed, what's going on, dude?
I am rolling. It's a good week, kind of going into Black Friday here, recording this, and you'll probably be hearing this post Black Friday, but a lot going on and a lot to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So Black Friday sales kick off this week as we're getting ready to release this episode. You guys will be hearing this hopefully as all of your awesome Black Friday sales to your fans are kicking off. And something interesting that I wanted to get into in this episode is kind of about the holidays in general. We're going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, and then we're getting into the December holidays coming up shortly thereafter. And, conventional sort of music industry wisdom and music industry practice is, apart from, holiday pushes for holiday releases or themed records, things kind of slow down to a halt. And, you often hear people say like, oh, don't release a record in December, or, don't do XYZ in December. And we kind of want to talk about that on this episode here, because with that, I think a lot of people, a lot of artists, creatives can fall into a rut during this time at the tail end of Q4 where, obviously there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to sales, but there's also a lot of opportunity just when it comes to what you can be doing with your fans. And I think when, things kind of go to sleep in the music industry, this is where there's a lot of opportunity for you to stay active, but it can be confusing about how to do that. So I thought that would be a cool thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, I love it. And we've been talking so much about, prep your Black Friday offers and this and that and all this kind of stuff. And like Jack said, the traditional advice here is like, once you kind of hit December, everybody in the music industry goes to sleep. And I think that is, one of the advantages of doing digital direct marketing to your fans is that you're not dependent on other people, right? Like publicists or whatever, if they're taking a break. But I just have never understood, like, hey, for 1/12 of the year, just don't do anything towards your business, right? Like, that seems like bad advice for a growing independent business, which is what the musicians are. And also, it's interesting because, like, the holidays are one of the most family group, community-centric kind of times of the year. Like, everybody's all about like, get together and enjoy the time with the ones you love, that kind of thing. And whether or not that's exactly your brand language, this is a great time to nurture and just hang out with your fans without asking them for anything, and kind of build goodwill and just build your relationship as you kind of head into 2022. So a lot to do here and a lot to kind of cover, so that you don't waste December.
Yeah, totally. And, I don't want to say that it's totally unfounded. Even in the digital space, with all sorts of businesses that work in the digital space, from creatives and artists to e-commerce brands and online businesses, to retail and local businesses, anything that really, runs traffic online, specifically like Facebook ads, Instagram, YouTube ads, Google, whatever it might be, Q4 gets more expensive and acquisition gets a little bit harder there. There's, leading up to Black Friday, we've seen a lot of sort of buyer friction or buyer confidence being down. People either waiting for a sale or, things are kind of weird in the economy right now and people are worried about supply chain and all sorts of stuff with that. And, so on one hand, there's some good reasons to think like you might need to rethink what your your digital strategy is here. So maybe you're not spending as much money on, acquiring new fans necessarily. And maybe you're not going into like big, expensive, super detailed launch mode at this time because you're going to be up against a lot of competition in the ad inventory on Facebook ads, for example, and you're going to be, working through higher CPMs, and it's just going to be more challenging to stand out from all of the advertising noise. But just because there's some credence there doesn't mean that there's nothing for you to do. I think you said it well, Ed. Like, this is a really good opportunity to sort of assess where your fans are at and how you want to communicate with them throughout a season where, even if you're not releasing anything, maybe you don't have a holiday record in your back pocket and you're just kind of on quiet time a little bit. You're not touring, you're not releasing, and you're trying to figure out like, what do I do here? Apart from, staying active on socials, what can I be doing here? I think that's important to talk about because this is, especially after sales, and this is kind of where I wanted to start kicking this off, especially after a sale. If you're running a super cool Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, Cyber Week, you want to follow that up with nurturing. You want to follow that up with opportunities to give back to your fans in a cool way and be connected with them and make them feel, thankful that they're in your world and that you're in theirs, and make them feel appreciated, really. And I think that kind of nurturing is critical after any sale, but there's a cool opportunity during, the slower sort of holiday season to really capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking I feel like the alternate title for this episode could be like how to make the most of your December and also potentially not spend any money doing it. Like, like you kind of said, it's not a great time to be running ads, and they're expensive. So you can do things, but you don't have to be out acquiring new fans, any of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's interesting because I think what you were just saying, it comes back to the heart of the buddy system, where if you are making an offer for Black Friday, and if you're kind of buying into the ideas that we touched on a couple weeks ago, where you're doing maybe a multi-week rollout or kind of a multi-tier offer kind of thing, where it's not just one day, it's spanning, probably several emails, several weeks, a lot of communication around this offer, most likely. You got to balance it out, right? You have to follow that up with some kind of nurturing giveaway, communication, hangout, that kind of thing, so that the relationship maintains its balance. Not that you want to be thinking about your relationship with your fans that way, but I always do. I always think about it as if they buy something from the 502s or they take an action that we're asking them to, I need to give them something that's worth value, so that it's not oh, well, they're only ever asking me for something. They never really ever just give me something out of the kindness of their heart. That's with any relationship.
Yeah, totally, dude. I mean, I liken that back to, the metaphor, the idea of the goodwill vault. When you're asking for a sale and someone is giving you money for something that they think is cool, that's a withdrawal from the goodwill vault. So in order to fill it back up and, balance the scales again, what you're looking to do is then deposit more value into that for free. Give to your fans, whether that be through communication or free content or some kind of extra access, whatever it might be. I mean, there's tons that you can do. Giveaways, really anything that falls kind of under the nurturing stage of the buddy system can be really cool here. And I think that that's a great way to think about your relationship with your fans as your customers, because it's just a good way to top off the goodwill balance and tee up whatever might come next. And that's something else that I wanted to mention here too, is not only is nurturing something that's really important to do and a solid sort of move to use during the holidays where things are down, if you're not focusing on new fan acquisition, so you're not releasing, so you're not pushing or promoting new music, and you're not launching a record or something like that. Maybe you're not even dropping it, you're not dropping new merch. That doesn't mean that you can't run another sales promotion. During the holiday season, people are primed to buy. So just because you're not focusing on acquiring new fans, something that you could be focusing on here is, after Black Friday and some solid nurturing efforts, you could run another holiday sale in December. And maybe it's just something that's targeted to your highest LTV fans, your highest LTV customers. And, it might not even be really something that's making you a ton of money. It might be a nice balance between a cool offer that people will feel like this is really special, and it has margin padded into it. Something that I'm seeing right now, for example, one of our artists is doing a live stream show in December. And it's something that he's going to be launching, towards the end of December. And what we're really focused on is making his customers of the membership stage, the Ascension stage fans, people that are in his membership, we're really focusing this on them. So we're giving them, like, some of the people are getting it for free, others are getting it at a super steep discount. And that's how we're rolling this out. So it is a sales promotion, but he's not really worried about doing it too much to maximize profits. Although it is maximizing profits. These people are going to, their lifetime value is going to increase. So I think that that's something important to think about here is, like, you can run sales still, and you can put offers in front of your fans after Black Friday. It can be an extended sort of, Black Friday is starting so early now. We were seeing, like, Black November. There's no reason that your sales can't continue into December. So on the other hand of this is, on top of nurturing, like, running sales promos and really trying to focus on profit maximization in terms of driving increasing lifetime value is something that I think is really important here.
Yeah. And so, like, what I take away from this is we pretty much just said, hey, Black Friday ends, you should do some nurturing, and then you can make another offer if you want to. So what I would imagine the immediate kind of thought to somebody listening there would be is like, okay, that sounds nice. How do I nurture somebody if I have no content coming out? And I think that's where maybe a good place to kind of dive in a little bit and give some examples around what do you do if you're trying to nurture people, trying to provide value, but you have no existing content to release, like no new content, nothing like that. Like, what do you do? I just wrote down like 5 things, and this has actually kind of become one of my favorite parts of the year within the 502 specifically, because it's like, wow, we can just do whatever we want. Like, we can just essentially provide whatever value we want. We can give stuff away. We can do phone calls, like any of that stuff. So I want to kind of just go through for a few minutes and outline together, like, here's a couple ideas around what you can do. And the first one is the one that I typically like to do. We've done it a couple of years in a row, and we're rolling it into like Entrepreneur this year. And it's just like kind of a 10 to 12 day giveaway of, calling it like 10 days of Christmas. It's not like some crazy, super, original idea. 12 days of Christmas probably spans back, decades, but just setting that up for yourself. It's something that I like to do. And I say, hey, it's, the 502's 10 days of Christmas, and we're giving away these 10 things. And then over 10 days, we have people fill out a Google Sheet form, and it's like a prize every day. It's like, oh, here's a test pressing of our vinyl that there's only 5 of them and we're giving one away. Or here's like a super pack of our bundles of all of our shirts and merchandise. Or I think last year I gave away, a signed vinyl and like my finger picks to my banjo. And it's stuff that's cool. And it's stuff that is just like, what do we have? Props from our fan finder videos, throwback t-shirts that are in the vault and you can't get anywhere else. It's just like, if I was a fan of somebody, what would I absolutely want? Find that as the band and then give it away for free. And it's just, one, it builds, like Jack said, the goodwill vault. But 2, it's kind of just fun to like give people stuff at the holidays. It's like a giving season.
Yeah, for sure. I love that one. I know that you guys did that last year around the holidays, and I think that was like an awesome way to follow up a sale. All of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, like I bought something from this band and now they're like just giving stuff away. Like, that's so cool. I think that that's a great opportunity. Another one that comes to my mind in terms of stuff that you can do, and this doesn't necessarily even rely on content, but fulfillment collateral, for example, like that is a really good opportunity for nurturing, especially because it's coming off the heels of a sale. So make sure that with your packaging for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, make sure you're making it a little personalized. Send a note, thank your fans that way, spice up what they're going to get so that when that package arrives at their door, it really is like a dream come true kind of unboxing experience. I think that can be a really great way of nurturing. It solidifies the confidence in what someone just purchased. And I think you should do this all year round, but I think it's especially pertinent around the holidays because it sets up for that reciprocity, or depositing back into the Goodwill vault. So I think that kind of thing is perfect. And it's something that you should naturally be doing anyway as part of your sales. So that's an easy sort of low-hanging fruit.
Dude, I love that. And like, I like giving gifts, just as whether it's musically or to my siblings or my parents or whatever. I think it's fun to give gifts. And I think that what you just said is a great thing to underline, that like when you're sending a package to your supporters, all year round, but specifically during the holidays, you should feel like as when you send that out, that when they get it, they're going to be like, oh, heck yeah, this is incredible. Like, look, they signed the CD, they got a cool little bag, like whatever, you just make it a cool experience. And then that's a nurturing form, like Jack said. And I love your idea too about, you said, oh, put a little card in there, That's something else I've seen done is, hey, fill this Google Sheets form out. And, the first 200 people that fill it out, we're going to send you our 2021 Christmas card, right? And like that requires a little bit of budget, but probably 50 cents per stamp. And you can go to Vistaprint and print, hundreds of postcards for 20 cents per, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like easy. It's easy to just give them a package, put the postcard in the package, or mail it, a week later. So then they get this thing close to Christmas.
Something super cool that you can also do with this, and we've had a number of clients at IndieX use this. Caveat here before I mention this is that, the post office is, in the United States in particular right now, mail is very slow and is expected to be slower as we get deeper and deeper into the holidays here. So caveat before I mention this, but in Shopify, there's actually an app that you can use, an add-on app called Postpilot. And what you can do is you can send postcards out to your customer list, and it costs very, very little to do. You can customize them and make them look very nice. We've done these ahead of sales promos, but following the thread of this episode and this discussion, like you can do this at any time. So do it after, in the same way that you could say, like, we're going to send you our Christmas card. Like this could be your Christmas card, and you can send it out to certain segments of your customer list. You could send it out to your whole customer list. Makes it really easy to do. And you literally don't have to do anything. Like their addresses are already in your store. All you have to do is design the card online, and you can send it out for very, very little money. So Postpilot is a great option. Again, like I would say, if you're going to do it, like start looking into it now, because if you're planning on it for after Black Friday, you should start having it in the works. But that's a really good opportunity as well.
And then the last thing that comes to mind is like, okay, say you hear those, and they kind of maybe require a little bit of budget or a little bit of money to get nice packaging or get postcards printed. And if you're like, hey, I have absolutely no money to spend on this nurturing stuff, I'd love to do it, but I can't swing it. Like, you probably won't be surprised to hear what the alternate option is. And that is to just send out a heartfelt email to your fans, checking in. It's the holiday season. I typically love to do this every year. And I'll just send something out. I can't even, I'll sit down when it feels like, oh, this is a good time, draft something out that's like, hey, essentially this year has flown by, because it always does. It's been crazy. Like the stuff that we've accomplished this year, I never thought we would in a million years. And like, it's because of you. It's because of, your support. And I just wanted to take a second to kind of step back from running around with my head cut off and check in with you and like see how your year has been. And I'm going to be at my computer the rest of the day answering emails. So if you see this, please respond. I'd love to like hear what's up in your world, hear how your year has been. Like, what are you hoping for next year? It's a very heartfelt thing. It takes you 30 minutes to draft it and send it out. That goes, in my opinion, leagues further than anything else we've even touched on. And it's the easiest one. And it's something people don't want to do for some reason, but it's such a great way to build goodwill and to like just build the relationship.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think that's a great one. And to add to that, text messaging as well. Last week, we touched on a lot about text marketing with Jordan from Community when he came on. We'll link to that in the show notes too, in case you want to go back if you didn't catch it. But I think that's another opportunity to just say what's up to your fans. And this could be really simple, like it could be like, hey gang, let me know what you're eating for insert your holiday of choice here. And, I'm going to be hanging out and texting back and forth while I'm, decorating the Christmas tree or whatever it might be. I think that's an easy way to let your fans in a little bit and let them into what's going on in your world, because they're probably, thinking like, how are things slowing down for the artists that I like, the creatives that I like, the musicians that I listen to, like what's kind of going on right now. People love that sort of inside look, inside access, and to get it personally in a one-to-one sort of channel, just like you were saying, like it goes like miles. And I think text is a really good way to do it as well.
Yeah. And it's we touched on this previously, like it's one of the benefits of being an independent artist, that you control your contacts, you control your emails, your text numbers. Like you can take the time to text people or to email people, and there's nobody saying, oh, you don't have time to do that. You can't do that. We can't give you the emails, whatever it might be. This is, again, one of the areas where Taylor Swift, she can't sit and answer every single email for every single one of her fans, right? That would never be possible. But we can. And if it takes a couple days, it takes a couple days, but it's possible. And I think this is just like the perfect time of year to kind of go above and beyond and really just communicating like a normal person. I think Gracie touched on it a few episodes back. It's like, this is the best time of year to just communicate with your fans like a normal person.
Yeah, that's so true. And speaking of which, like, I'm going to put you in the spotlight here for a second. Something that stands out to me from like years and years and years ago that the 502s did at Thanksgiving was you guys live streamed during Thanksgiving dinner with your families. And that stuck with me so hard. So speaking of content, like if you're feeling like you don't have content to do this sort of nurturing angle with, I think lives are a really good way to hang out with your fans during this time, even when you're doing like the most seemingly mundane things. So yeah, if you want to shed some more light on that, Ed, by all means. But that piece of content always sticks out to me. Like I thought it was the coolest, most clever thing to do. And I think more artists should do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really kind of an organic thing that came up. I mean, the 502s, it's like family-centric band, obviously with my cousins and stuff like that. And we were just eating Thanksgiving. We've got about 25, 30 of us that live in the same city. So we're obviously all getting together from cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, all that kind of stuff. And we were just there. And I think my cousin and I were talking to my grandpa, and he's like, do the 502s fans know that what you're doing today? We're like, no, actually, you know what? They probably don't. Like, we should go live and just let them know. So we did, and people loved it. I mean, obviously Jack still recalls it, and it's like, that was just something that was like, why not? This is a great time to just check in with people. I don't think the video was, maybe more than 5 to 6 minutes because it was in the middle of dinner. And we went around, we introduced everybody in our family and said, hey, here's our grandpa. What would you like to say? And he said whatever he wanted. And we checked in with everyone, said, hope you guys are having a great Thanksgiving. And it's very organic. It's very natural. And I think that's one of the things where if you're wondering, what kind of content can I put out? What kind of emails should I send? This is a good time to not overthink it. Just be kind of organic with it, be natural, be honest, and just like Jack said, allow people to see inside your world. It's a great time. It's a great time to introduce people into like who you are as a person, what you do, what your family, your friends, what those people are like. Kind of let them see behind the curtains of like, hey, yes, I'm a musician, but I got other, I got a mom as well, that kind of thing. My sister, my brother,
It's really funny. Like you mentioned letting it be organic and kind of like off the cuff here. I totally agree. Like I'm thinking all throughout like, multiple bands and artist projects that I've been in or have done. Something that has always come up around this time of year has been like, if I want to record a quick, like minute-long Christmas song cover, or if I want to write a quick song and put it out there, like always very off the cuff, like just kind of letting the creativity be free flowing at this point, I think is healthy, not to get on like a soapbox about like what's mentally healthy during the holidays and what's not, but like having the freedom to create and put stuff out there and communicate to your fans in a way that feels, just like off the cuff, like you were saying, like not a lot of pressure, but something that you're consciously trying to do. That's always been like definitely a big part of like I think what's always just come natural to me. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that that's a really important point to consider. Like, don't overthink this. You can plan it. Like, you can take out a notepad, or if you like to do stuff digitally, like plan out your to-do list of nurturing things that you might do to keep your fans excited during the holiday season. But you don't have to get super crazy with it. I think a lot of the stuff that we mentioned in this episode so far has just been practical, easy things to do that a lot of artists miss out on. And speaking of that, like when it comes to your social posts and stuff like that, this is a good time to be using a strategy like Greenlight warmth boosting, putting $1 a day on the content that you are putting out there just to give it a little extra reach, make sure people see it. You're not having to spend a ton. Speaking of not spending a lot of money on ads, if you're trying to conserve budget right now, that's a very, very low spend, low effort kind of campaign to be running, and you can just swap your content in and out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of circling back maybe to the very beginning of the episode, it was like, okay, the music industry seems to maybe take a little bit of a break in December. So there's really low pressure if you're concerned about like, oh, what will people think if they look at my page and they see a Christmas cover? Like, okay, first of all, doesn't matter. Second of all, they're probably not looking because they're not around. So Jack said, it's a great time to just kind of branch out, be relaxed. I always found too, like Christmas, December in particular is a great time of year for me creatively because things slow down. Like whether it's musically, entrepreneur, any business, things they slow down, and it's a great time to just kind of be out there creating, which probably leads me to my last point. If you do find yourself getting like inspired to write new music, also a great way to nurture your fans is to say, hey, I came with this new song idea today, right? Like easy, go live, send out a video, post a little selfie, same kind of thing. But really, I think the takeaway is just like with this is whatever you're feeling, share it with your fans in December, because it's a time where they're probably paying attention because there's nothing else going on. And it's a time to really build that goodwill heading into the next year.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a really great point. I feel the same way, man. Like when things slow down, like the creativity kind of swells. And I would say, like, just as a point of encouragement, like take that and harness it for doing this kind of cool stuff to keep your fans in the loop, keep them excited. Don't be afraid to run some sales promos. If you're feeling like you don't have something to promote that's new, you don't necessarily have to have something that's totally new. You don't have to be dropping a single. You don't even have to be putting out Christmas music at all, or holiday music. It's really just about, I think at this stage, like we were saying, nurturing off of the back end of sales, which is so important, and keeping people in the loop. And one other thing that you can be doing, and we'll be talking about this more in the next episode, is starting to plan what the next 12 months or the next 6 months or 3 months is going to look like, and start setting those goals. And you can let your fans in on that a little bit. You can gather some feedback from them. Like you were saying, like asking your fans, like, hey, I wanted to check in with you and see how your life's going. How's your holiday going? I know that this can be a crazy time of year for people. That's one good way to check in with people. You can also then let them in and be like, I'm starting to think about what 2022 is going to look like. And here's some of the stuff that, is on my mind, and get some feedback. I think that's another thing that you can really do to get your fans excited, is start to future pace them into what's going to be coming up next, and letting them into that, knowing that, like, hey, you fuel this thing, you're the lifeblood of this creativity and this music, and I appreciate you being here.
Yes, spot on. I have nothing to add to that. It's just perfect advice. Perfect advice from Jack.
Thanks, man. Well, I'm glad you dig it. Yeah, I love this stuff, man. I'm super excited. I hope you guys dig this episode and dig some of these ideas. Like I said, write them down on paper, put them in Asana or whatever you use to keep track of your to-do list and your project management. And I hope to see some cool content getting out there, within the next 6 weeks or so. And use this time to just nurture your fan base, keep them excited, and let them know about what's coming up next. Speaking of what's coming up next, we'll catch you guys next week, where we're going to be talking more about planning into the new year. So we'll see you guys then. Peace out, Indies. Feel the East Coast, feel the West Coast.